We are just shy of a month out from the Nintendo Switch 2, and a lot of people are trying to prep for how they're going to get their hands on the system. And one of the possible ways you might be considering is trading in your current Nintendo Switch for a Nintendo Switch 2. But there is always a caveat with this. You want to be able to transfer your save data from your Nintendo Switch to your Nintendo Switch 2, especially considering games like Animal Crossing and Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. Those saves aren't available on the cloud, so you'll have to have the system to transfer your saves over. However, Nintendo has come up with a solution for this that is pretty impressive, and I'm really happy to talk about it here today. Now, as of today, the Nintendo Switch 20.0 update is available. This adds virtual game cards, Switch 2 transfers, and more. Obviously, the key component there being Switch 2 transfers. Scrolling down here, we're going to look at the available options for transferring your Nintendo Switch stuff. So, transfer to the Nintendo Switch 2 system has been added under the system settings. This allows you to perform a system transfer to your Nintendo Switch 2 using local communication. Now, in the past, you've only really been able to do this either by moving cloud saves over or having the two Nintendo Switch systems next to one another in order to transfer the data over, which would then factory set whatever Nintendo Switch you were transferring from. However, you no longer have to have both systems present. This is a massive update for everybody looking to trade in their current Nintendo Switch for the Nintendo Switch 2. For users that will lose access to their Nintendo Switch before receiving their Nintendo Switch 2, there is an option to upload the system transfer data to a dedicated server, which can then be retrieved on their Nintendo Switch 2. Essentially, this means that you're sending it to the cloud over at Nintendo, and they're going to hold on to it that's linked to your account, and then you're able to pull it back down on your new system when you get your Switch 2. Now, this is important to note that after you upload your system transfer data to the dedicated server, the Nintendo Switch system will be initialized to factory settings, so only perform the transfer if you'll be able to complete the transfer to the Nintendo Switch 2, or if you are aware of the fact that you are just okay not playing your Nintendo Switch for the next month until you get your Switch 2, then it's okay to send this to the cloud. You're okay, you're like, I can play other games on, PlayStation, Xbox, whatever the case may be until I get my Switch 2. I'm going to upload this and maybe utilize GameStop or somewhere else's trade-in deal to get myself ready to pay for the Switch 2. However, if you want to continue using your Nintendo Switch, this is me personally because I'm still doing Pokemon stuff on the other channel and stuff like that. If you're going to continue using your Nintendo Switch, you will be able to complete the transfer the same way you have in the past with the two systems right next to each other. So people like me who still plan on using their Nintendo Switch up until the day they pick up their Switch 2, this is the way you want to transfer your save data. So there's two options, which is fantastic on Nintendo's part. This was a big concern. I know GameStop specifically had a really interesting deal, and honestly, I thought it was a very fair deal of the trade-in credit that you'd be able to get for your OLED, your Switch, or your Switch Lite toward the Nintendo Switch 2. And the big concern, especially of all the people that sat in the pre-order line like I did in the morning the pre-orders went live at GameStop, was what about our save data transfers? And the GameStop employee said, we don't really have an answer for that, but now Nintendo has provided an answer for that. And I think this is really, really solid on Nintendo's part. It is worth noting as well, an internet connection is required to complete both the local and server-based system transfer services. Obviously, if you're sending it to the cloud, you're gonna need to have your internet connected so that way you can send that data off. But again, note that you will not be able to use your save data that is sent to the cloud until you have your Nintendo Switch 2. So if you're looking to trade in, maybe you'll want to wait until closer to the launch to trade in the system toward the Nintendo Switch 2. Or like I said, if you're okay with completely not playing your Nintendo Switch and all your save files and everything like that, you could send it to the cloud now, go trade in your system, and just wait a month until you get your Nintendo Switch 2. So now over on the Nintendo Switch system, if you're looking to move your save data transfer over right now to the cloud, what you do is you go over to the system settings and go all the way down to system. Then what you're going to do is go scroll down here and you'll find the option that says transfer Nintendo Switch 2. Click that. You're going to say next. It's going to give you a little prompt. It says you can keep playing compatible Nintendo Switch software on the Nintendo Switch 2. Some Nintendo Switch games may not be supported or fully compatible with the Nintendo Switch 2. There's a website you can go to see the list of games that are compatible with the Nintendo Switch 2. Hit OK. And then there are two different options. And it says make sure your Nintendo Switch 2 is nearby. Obviously, nobody's got one nearby yet because they're not out and available yet. And then you click I don't have a Nintendo Switch 2. You're going to click it, and it's going to give this little loading prompt, and it's going to take a second, and then it's going to show you this. And it says first data on the system will be uploaded to the server. And you're going to move all of your stuff to the server so that way you can pull it down at a later time on the new Nintendo Switch system. Obviously, I still want to use this Nintendo Switch as my OLED. I have no plans of getting rid of my OLED. I'm not going to click next, but this is how you would go about sending that data over to the cloud so that way you could pull it down later for your Nintendo Switch 2 system if you were going to trade in this particular system in question. Again, make note, if you do this, this system factory resets. All of your save data is gone. You will not be able to continue any of your save data on this particular Switch. It is wiped. So this is meant for if you're getting rid of your Nintendo Switch to get the Nintendo Switch 2. Otherwise, you will go back and you will do it this way. Make sure your Nintendo Switch system is nearby. You would click done, and then it would start the process similarly to how the Nintendo Switch transfers happen now, where you have the two systems side by side and you transfer the data over. That is how you go about transferring the data to the Nintendo Switch 2. I think this is a fantastic solution on Nintendo's part. I think this makes a ton of sense as far as how they actually are going to allow people to move their stuff, especially those Animal Crossing villages that people have put tons of hours into. Those Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, say, like I have 1,000 hours on Pokemon Violet. Like, I don't want to lose any of that. So it would be a perfect solution if I was looking to trade in my OLED. But I think this is a fantastic addition on Nintendo Switch part and Nintendo's part. Now, there are some other changes. Obviously, there are the virtual game cards and stuff. Virtual game cards being right here. You're able to mess around with that. They changed the eShop. There is now also the game share function. So when the Nintendo Switch 2 comes out, certain games will be allowed to be game shared to the previous Nintendo Switch system, which is really useful. So there's a lot of cool things that came out in this particular update, but the highlight is being able to send your stuff to the cloud for those that are looking to upgrade their current Switch and not keep that Switch around. So very cool stuff. I hope this video was entertaining and helpful to everybody that was looking to move their stuff over and get the trade-in benefits that are associated with the current stuff going on at GameStop and everything. I hope this was really, really helpful. And this is, again, an awesome addition on Nintendo's part. I did not expect this to come at all. So very, very good on Nintendo's part. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, like and sub for more like this in the future. And let me know in the comments below, do you plan to send your stuff to the cloud, or are you just going to wait until you get your Switch 2? Let me know all that fun stuff. But until next time, peace.